As the Cleveland Brown quarterback competition progresses into mandatory minicamp, Shedeur Sanders has often found himself practicing with the backup. Shedeur said he's unbothered by practice reps instead of looking to take advantage of every opportunity he gets. Life is just based on how you view different things. See, now you got me questioning whether or not he was unprepared when he came to those meetings. I think y'all tried to salt that man up. I never got the inclination that he was unprepared. If the one thing that he was going to be is prepared. His father prepared him. He understands his dad, although he didn't play quarterback, he understood what comes along with playing the quarterback.
Right. Did one of the two look better to you in what they were asked to do than the other?
In just throwing the ball, it's not close. Shedeur Sanders.
It's not close.
But let me couch that by saying this is rookie minicamp.
Sure.
No pads, no full speed competition. Nobody coming to knock your head off.
It's telling. They're side by side, and they're not asked to do much, but they're both asked to do the same thing, and that one of them looked discernibly better than the other. I didn't know that we would get that out of this minicamp.
We're standing here, Jay. They're on the field. They break the huddle from team stretch, and they go both pick up the ball and throw it. It's no question.
What happens when Shedeur Sanders walks into NFL minicamp and starts torching grown men with families and full-time mortgages? Absolute chaos. The Browns are in full panic mode, coaches are rethinking their entire defensive schemes, and one poor linebacker reportedly requested therapy during water break. What was supposed to be a routine practice turned into a full-blown Shedeur Sanders masterclass. This wasn't just drills. It was domination. The NFL came expecting a rookie. Instead, they got a walking highlight reel. Buckle up, because minicamp just became primetime entertainment, and the league has no idea how to stop it.
But it's still the minicamps, right? And the quarterback that people watch more is still Shedeur Sanders above anybody else there in Cleveland. And look, the Cleveland situation I do think is uniquely interesting just because I have no idea who their quarterback is going to be, right? And so people are doing the math, and like Dillon Gabriel took the first snaps and how this goes for Shedeur and everything else. And Shedeur is the one that people have the most questions for in all of this. But I want to take a moment because I had read enough and known enough about how Shedeur carried himself in the pre-draft process.
The NFL expected a routine, drama-free minicamp. Just drills, clipboards, and backup QBs faking relevance. Then, Shedeur Sanders rolled in like a lightning bolt in designer cleats and set the whole show ablaze. Not literally, but if the Browns' coaching staff had exploded from pure panic, nobody would have questioned it. What was supposed to be a sleepy practice turned into a full-blown Sanders showcase. The league wanted calm. Instead, it got chaos. And a rookie who just hijacked the spotlight. Let me know if you want a more serious or comedic spin.
So this is what Herm Edwards on Shadur had to say. I think when the preseason starts, he's going to find a way to beat those guys out. So if y'all didn't know, it was just reported just a couple of days ago that Shedeur Sanders, the 5th round pick, literally is now quarterback number 2. Not number 3, not number 4. He was the guy number 5, but now he's number 2 because his stats have been phenomenal. Not only has he been locked in and dialed in practice, he's been killing.
Shedeur Sanders was supposed to be in Boulder, dropping Instagram highlights and deep balls, not turning NFL defensive backs into viral memes. Yet here we are, watching seasoned pros stumble like they wandered in from a pickup game, while a college QB who hasn't even declared for the draft shreds them play after play. Scouts came to watch drills. Instead, they're witnessing a live rewrite of everything they thought they knew.
Why Cleveland? Why right now? Why draft Dillon Gabriel and then bring in Shedeur Sanders? Because the first week of preseason, when Dillon Gabriel trots out there, we know that there's going to be some boos because people want to see Shedeur Sanders on the football field. So I like the pick because Shedeur Sanders, obviously with the talent he has, deserved to be drafted. But now you've got an uncomfortable situation in your QB room with 2 young quarterbacks. Dillon Gabriel thinking, okay, I might be the guy, I might take the reins, but now he's got to worry about Shedeur in his back pocket. It's an interesting situation.
Let's rewind. When Shedeur Sanders passed on the NFL draft, the league breathed a sigh of relief. Crisis averted. No diamond chains on the sidelines, no shades at the podium drama, no media frenzy every time he blinked. The NFL craved peace, structure, and backup quarterbacks who resembled financial advisors. What they weren't ready for was Shedeur. Smooth, unbothered, and absolutely torching defenders. The calm didn't last, because now he's here, and he's cooking like he never left. Want to push the sarcasm, drama, or swagger even more?
2 days ago, a report came out saying that the Browns' starting quarterback job was likely going to be Flacco's job to lose. Now there's reports coming out saying that Shedeur might be the starter week 1 in Cleveland. Now, of course, on the back end of that, stuff changes all the time in the NFL. Moves happen quickly, reports come out all day, every day. So, it could be 2 days until Dillon Gabriel emerges as the greatest quarterback ever. But realistically, Shedeur Sanders looks good. And I'm high on him, man. I really think that he's going to be a great quarterback. He was spinning it good. He worked well behind the O-line. He was running through schemes well.
See? Most mini camps are glorified stretching sessions, with some light tossing of footballs and an occasional coach pretending to care. But when Shedeur showed up, suddenly it felt like a playoff game. No one was ready for a QB who actually threw with anticipation, hit timing routes with surgical precision, and called audibles like he'd hacked the defense's group chat. Cleveland, bless their heart, did not know what hit them. They thought this was a cute little QB rep filler situation. Bring him in, let him run a few scout team snaps, maybe get a few developmental throws in. And then Shedeur casually dismantled their secondary like he was running a tutorial on how to ruin defensive coordinators' careers. First play? Dart across the middle, hits the receiver perfectly in stride. Second play. Rolls out, plants, and drops a dime in the back corner of the end zone like he's been playing in the league for a decade. Third play? Audible to a hot route before the snap, freezes the linebacker. Touchdown. The Browns' defensive coordinator was last seen staring into the abyss, wondering if Shadur had read his diary. The panic hit fast. Coaches began whispering like there was a mole in the building. Position coaches started frantically flipping through binders like they'd missed a chapter on what to do when your practice squad QB embarrasses your entire defense.
And he's like, dude, listen, the guy, all I can say is that he goes where the ball's supposed to go, and it looks the way it's supposed to look. And when I hear that tells me it sounds like the Browns may have got a steal with Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, because I think he'll have a chance. I'm not saying he's going to be the starting quarterback in September, like week 1 or 2 or whatever it may be early in the year, but I think he's got a chance to develop into something that hopefully would preclude them from having to draft a quarterback first overall or top 5.
And the QB room. Imagine being a Browns backup quarterback right now. You came in thinking, okay, time to show the staff I belong on this depth chart, and then Shedeur walks in and deletes your NFL hopes in real time. Somewhere in the facility, a clipboard was thrown. Somewhere else, a playbook was quietly folded shut in defeat. The Browns have been through quarterback trauma before. Baker, Deshaun, Jacoby, that one guy whose name everyone tries to forget. But this wasn't just QB drama. This was QB existential crisis. Shedeur wasn't just throwing passes, he was throwing a wrench into everything Cleveland thought they had figured out. And of course, the NFL grapevine lit up like a Christmas tree on an energy drink. Suddenly, every scout who laughed off Shedeur as Dion's media creation was reviewing Colorado game tape in slow motion. Analysts started floating terms like elite pocket presence and NFL arm talent like they hadn't been mocking him for months. And executives? They started dialing phones like their jobs depended on it. Because guess what? They just might. Around the league, the mood shifted from indifference to full-blown paranoia. General managers were texting interns at 3 a.m. asking how many years of eligibility Shedeur had left.
Game 1, right? I think he's a rookie. He's gonna take some time, but he's gonna start, and he's gonna start early this year. I don't think the Browns will be competitive this year. I really don't. Another thing is, I got my sources. I don't know what y'all got. I got my sources. Shady sources, and they told me, right? And I know you guys. Well, some of y'all don't think that minicamp is that important, but they told me that he looks like the best player out of the whole camp. 5th rounder, right? Yeah. And I was always taught, I don't care if it's minicamp, facts, real camp, fake camp, high camp, low camp, boy scout camp. Be the best at everything you do. That's how I was raised. And if you look at Shedeur Sanders, His mindset ain't to be in no backup role with these dudes. He's in there to start. He looks way more focused.
Coaches were staring at whiteboards, trying to calculate the damage this kid could do to their playoff hopes if he landed in the wrong or right division. And fan bases? Oh, they went absolutely off the rails. Broncos fans started dreaming about a reunion tour in Denver like it was a Marvel sequel. Steelers fans claimed they had called it all along, because of course they did, and down in Washington, a Commanders subreddit tried to trade the Washington Monument and 2 senators just to get first dibs. But Shedeur, the man at the center of the chaos, he didn't blink. No gloating, no subtweets, no TikTok dances in the parking lot. Just back to work. More drills, more footwork, more accuracy. Like a guy who knows exactly what he's building and couldn't care less if the world just found out a little early. While the league lost its mind, Shedeur was silent. And that silence, it was deafening. This wasn't just about one minicamp. This was a message, a teaser trailer for a quarterback no one saw coming except everyone who was actually paying attention. And the Browns, well, they now have a new problem. What if they accidentally discovered their best QB option in a guy they weren't even planning to keep? Somewhere in that facility, a spreadsheet was updated. And somewhere else, a panic meeting was scheduled with too many execs and not enough chairs.
Yeah, I think what you got to realize is in the draft, pretty much outside of the second round, it's a crapshoot. I mean, I can't tell you how many 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks don't even make it out of training camp when you're selecting a pick in the 4th or the 5th. I mean, you're hoping they can be a starter, and you hope that maybe they're Pro Bowl level someday, but it's not really a high probability of success. And when you consider the quarterback position, it is the linchpin of success for an NFL team. You can't win without a great quarterback. It makes sense to roll the dice because the upside, if you do find your starting quarterback later in the draft, is so enormous. Not only from, hey, we found our guy, but hey, we don't have to pay.
Now let's talk about the big picture. What happens next? Well, if Shadur keeps this up, it's not a matter of if he gets drafted, it's where. And how high, because make no mistake, teams saw it. Every snap, every read, every throw that screamed, yeah, I could start for your team right now. Imagine next season, Caleb Williams in Chicago, Jaden Daniels in Washington, and then Shedeur Sanders somewhere, waiting like a boss level you didn't prepare for. He's not just another QB prospect. He's a brand, a technician, and a silent assassin with a perfect spiral. NFL teams build their rosters for years, invest millions in scouting, film, and analytics. Then one minicamp with Shedeur Sanders walks in and sets fire to the whole algorithm. Suddenly, QB plans don't feel so solid. Suddenly, the guy you were grooming feels obsolete. The Browns may have started this just looking for depth. What they got was a preview of the future and possibly a quarterback controversy no one asked for. And the best part? Shedeur hasn't even turned pro yet. Somewhere a head coach is pacing, wondering if his starter could survive a direct comparison. Somewhere else, an offensive coordinator is daydreaming about what his playbook would look like with a quarterback who can actually read coverage and hit tight windows before the break.
So we got our first look at Shedeur Sanders in a Cleveland Browns uniform at their mini camp yesterday. And there's not too many clips going around. There's very little actually being shown from it. But what is shown is very impressive. And I'm going to sit on this hill till I die that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a great quarterback. And stuff like this is just coming out is helping my case. I'm a Shedeur guy. Y'all know this. I really do think he's going to be a great quarterback. His teammates say that he seems like a great guy to be around. The coaches say they like his style. They're saying that he's being respectable. And he's just spinning the ball. The clips he's throwing.
And across the league, fan bases are pulling out their phones, scanning draft boards and whispering, please just give us a chance. The NFL wanted order. Shedeur brought disruption. They wanted development. He brought domination. And now they want answers. Because if a guy this poised, this polished, and this unbothered is cooking NFL defenses in June, what happens when it counts? What happens when Shedeur Sanders walks onto a real NFL field with something to prove and nothing to lose? The panic has only just begun. And Cleveland? They better hope he doesn't like the city too much, or their quarterback room might be heading for a complete rebuild. Again. This wasn't just a minicamp, it was a warning shot. And the NFL, it heard it loud and clear. So now the question isn't whether Shadur can play at the next level, it's whether the next level can handle him. Because if the NFL thought it was getting another flashy social media QB with daddy's sunglasses and no footwork, they're about to find out they've been prepping for the wrong exam. Shedeur doesn't just move the pocket, he moves the entire tempo of the offense like he's conducting a symphony. And defensive coordinators are the panicked violinists forgetting their sheet music.
Hey, Ashley Bastock from Cleveland.com, wrapping up day 2 of Brown's rookie minicamp. So we heard from Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel today. My focus of my story today was all about how growing up and playing for Deion Sanders has helped Shedeur navigate intense spotlight. Of course, he got to the NFL and he's already a celebrity. It doesn't matter that he was drafted in the 5th round. Really, he talked about feeling like his dad gave them the opportunity, and now it's really all about what he does on the field. He's really not letting that draft weekend slide bother him.
Let's be real. This isn't your typical dual threat gimmick guy who tucks and runs at the first twitch of a linebacker's eyelid. Shedeur is the rare breed who can actually read a defense before it even knows what coverage it's in. He manipulates safeties with eye contact and baits corners like he's playing 4D chess in cleats. It's not playground football. It's precision warfare with a fade route. So now, scouts are pretending they've always seen first-round traits in him, frantically revisiting tape like it's a lost gospel. And NFL GMs? They're quietly deleting those old pre-draft notes titled "System QB Overhyped" by media, because it turns out he's not the product of Deion's Instagram presence or Colorado's hype machine. He's the real deal. And the league just realized too late that it may have slept on the next QB1. Now, let's talk about the real nightmare fuel. What happens if he lands in a division with Travis Hunter? Oh, now that's spicy. Imagine a league where the guy who practiced against Shedeur every day in college now has to stop him twice a year. Defensive meetings will look like support group sessions. Hi, I'm Coach Bob, and I tried stopping Shedeur and Travis in the same week. Group hug.
My job isn't to prove people wrong, it's to prove myself right. If that doesn't sound like a starting quarterback in the NFL to you, then I don't know what does. Shedeur gave that beautiful quote in a recent interview at Brown's minicamp. And I think that really sums up his mentality as a player. He's not worried about all the extra stuff. He's not worried about all the outside opinions saying you fell to the 5th round of the draft, you weren't good enough, you're the 2nd quarterback drafted by the Browns. None of that. He does not care. He's just out there balling. And I think that that's the mentality that's ultimately going to make Shedeur the starter at some point this season. Just in case you're skeptical, here's a brand new clip from day 2 of Brown's minicamp where Shedeur throws a slot fade, and it's beautiful.
Or what if the NFL gets its Hollywood script, and we see a Caleb Williams versus Shedeur Sanders showdown in primetime? One is the media darling, the Heisman pick, the chosen one. The other, the underestimated sniper with a memory like an elephant and receipts longer than a CVS bill. Shedeur doesn't need a statue. He'll settle for ruining your franchise quarterback's career arc on national television. But beyond the hypotheticals, here's the real kicker. Has the NFL completely misread what Colorado was building? Everyone laughed when Deion showed up in cowboy hats and confidence. But now, with Shedeur running the offense like he's got a PhD in play calling and Travis Hunter doing backflips on both sides of the ball, it looks less like a social media stunt and more like a football think tank disguised as a college team. This wasn't a gimmick, it was a test run. And now the NFL's staring at its own blueprint and realizing it forgot to account for players who aren't just talented, but intellectually dangerous. Players who aren't just athletes, but offensive architects. Shedeur isn't just playing the game, he's redesigning the field while he's on it. Front offices better buckle up.
The way Shedeur plays the quarterback position.
Yep.
He's not a Michael Vick. I mean, he's not a quarterback that he can, escape and find people open, but he can't afford not to watch film.
Yeah, exactly. Because for those who like to say he's or like to bring up the term pass first quarterbacks when it comes to athletically built and gifted quarterbacks, He's elusive, but he can definitely sling that rock first.
Right. So his whole game is timing.
Yeah.
Reading defenses.
Yep.
He'll tell you if you follow these guys.
Yep.
Dion showed him how to read defenses from him being a Hall of Fame defensive player.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And all the coaches that he's worked with have marveled on how he reads.
Because if he declares next year, that draft board is getting turned into a Jackson Pollock painting. Chaotic, unpredictable, and suddenly worth a lot more than anyone expected. That QB from State U who was QB1 on paper, yeah, he just became QB question mark once Shedeur hits the combine with NFL-level footwork, interviews sharper than a surgeon's scalpel, and that glint in his eye that says, "I told you so." And here's the twist nobody's ready for. What if he doesn't even need the combine? What if his film, his leadership, and his intelligence are so undeniable that teams start moving heaven, earth, and half their roster just for a private workout? What if he pulls a Manning and just tells teams, "Nah, I'm not playing for you," and everyone still begs anyway? Because that's what happens when the league forgets to prepare for evolution. They trained for athletes. Shedeur is a tactician, a silent killer, a cool-tempered assassin in a visor and wristband. And now, the NFL wanted peace. They got Shedeur. Cleveland wanted depth. They got disruption.